Have you been in an accident and been injured or know someone who has?
Well, if you can answer yes, don't go anywhere. This is Accident Injury News.
Welcome to Accident Injury News. I'm Tom Lociato.
And I'm Lindsay Hansen. During the next 30 minutes, you are going to learn what you need to do if you've been injured in an accident.
That's right, Lindsay. We're going to be joined by Phyllis McCune from the McCune Law Office. Phyllis is an attorney with 20 years of experience in Tulsa, and she's going to walk us through what you need to do if you've been injured in an accident.
Unfortunately, injuries from accidents are a big problem. Here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, according to the Oklahoma Transportation Department, over 7,600 people were injured last year in automobile-related accidents. That's right here in Tulsa. Nationwide, over 26 million people visited emergency rooms in a year for unintentional injuries.
That's a lot of folks whose lives have been turned upside down and now have to somehow put things back together and get on with living their life. But where do you start? What do you do when an accident that results in injury occurs? Do you try to go it alone, or do you make a decision to put experience on your side? Let's start with, what is an injury from an accident?
Simply put, a personal injury from an accident is when your body, mind, or emotions have been damaged. In some cases, when this occurs, an individual or a company may be liable. Personal injuries can occur out of negligence. Some injuries can occur from an intentional nature, or injuries could occur despite any type of negligence or intent. The point is, accidents happen, and injuries are sometimes the result. The bottom line is, if you have suffered an injury, it is going to take experience and work to make things well again. Tom?
Thanks a lot, Lindsay. It's really my privilege to welcome Phyllis McCune from McCune Law Office to Accident Injury News. Phyllis, welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here.
Hi, nice to be here.
You know, let's jump right in. What type of accidents do you handle at McCune Law Office?
Mainly car accident cases that can involve a semi-truck, automobile, motorcycle, even bicycles, pedestrian accidents. We also handle slip and fall accidents, which is obviously different than a motor vehicle accident. We handle slip and falls. A lot of attorneys don't. We have quite a good track record with them, so that's mainly what we handle.
Now, if somebody has a question, do you have some sort of program where you're willing to talk to someone and not charge them?
Oh, absolutely. Free consultation. I can evaluate your case over the phone, let you know if it's something that I'd be interested in taking care of for you.
Okay, well that's good information. What other things should people keep in mind when they've been in an accident?
Well, first you need to call the police. Obviously, the police need to come out, do a report. Everything's better when it's written down. If you are injured, you need to seek medical help. When you go seek medical help, use your health insurance. The car accident case will reimburse your health insurance carrier, but if you use your health insurance, it saves you in the long run. We can talk more about that later. Take pictures. It's very important to take pictures. Everybody's got a camera on their cell phone these days. Take pictures of everything. The cars, the other driver, the inside of your car, the scene, close up, back up, take a wide shot of the scene, but take pictures. Also, you need to call the McCune Law Office, because I can tell you what your case is worth and evaluate it. It doesn't cost you anything, so you can call me for free and talk to me personally, not an assistant, about the accident.
Why is it important, Phyllis, to get the insurance information at the scene of the accident?
Well, a lot of times people don't want to give you the insurance information a couple of days later or when you call them. They've had time to reflect. They may get a little defensive because they know they caused a wreck, so they may not want to give it to you later. But if you can't get it, you're injured, you for some reason can't talk to the person, we can always get it off the police report as long as the police were there.
How does a person know if they have a case? Does their case qualify? How do they know?
Well, a lot of it has to do with fault. That's the main thing. The other driver was at fault. Or if you're a passenger in a vehicle, your driver was at fault. As long as you didn't cause the accident and you're not at fault in any way. Also, there needs to be insurance coverage. That can be the other driver's insurance coverage, your driver's insurance coverage, or your own personal insurance coverage. But call my office and I can tell you whether your case qualifies or not. And usually the person is injured, which is the reason that they're calling me in the first place. So call my office. It's a free consultation. It doesn't cost you anything to call me. You're not out anything, and you do stand a lot to gain by calling me.
What type of injuries normally result from a car accident? What type of injury cases do you usually represent?
Normally we see back strains, sprained ligaments, all the way to broken bones and surgeries. At my office, no injury is too minor or too complicated to handle. And remember, take pictures of your injuries. That's very important.
I know we're going to take a break right now, Phyllis, so I hope you don't go anywhere.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's take a break, folks. Let's go over to Lindsay and check in with her. Lindsay?
Thanks, Tom. If you've been in an accident and injured, or you know someone who has, taking action quickly is very important to helping your situation. The longer an injured person waits to deal with the accident, the harder the process can be. Act quickly. As we just heard from Phyllis McCune, there are a number of types of injuries and injury cases which people may find themselves experiencing. Injuries like whiplash, head and brain injuries, paralysis, and joint, bone, and muscle problems. Claims for damages resulting from these types of injuries and others usually depend on medical records linking the accident to the injury received. Getting this information together in a timely basis is very important. The more time that elapses between the accident and the treatment, the more difficult it is to prove the connection. So get medical help immediately. Even if you feel fine, have yourself checked out. Sometimes symptoms may not show up for a day or two after the accident. Finally, remember, don't try to go it alone. Call the McCune Law Office. See if your case qualifies. Remember, the consultation is free.
Right now, let's hear from some people who were injured in accidents. Each one of these people picked up the phone and called the McCune Law Office for a free consultation.
Their cases also qualified and they were handled successfully, each with a maximum settlement. Listen to this.
I'm a realtor, and I was on my way to a listing one afternoon, and I was at a stoplight at a complete stop, and I looked in my rearview mirror and could see the man behind me was not stopping. And he rear-ended me almost into the point of hitting the car in front of me as well. I missed my listing appointment that day. I couldn't even call the people because the police were there and it was very busy, and I missed out on the listing. I called McCune Law Office and explained what had happened, and she was very friendly, and I felt very trusting of her, and she did take care of me. And I was very surprised that she got my commission for me that I would have made on that house, because it did in fact get listed by someone else and sell.
At one minute we're driving along, and then at the next there's a jolt, and you get knocked around and your adrenaline kicks in, and then you're heels deep in paperwork and aggravation, along with back pain in my case.
She handled everything between my doctor and my insurance company and handled it all for me, so I'm a busy person and it gave me time to do my work.
I was in a vehicle and the guy that was driving ran a stop sign and the car hit us broadside. The impact was brief, and a few days later my back hurt really bad. I couldn't hardly go to work. I turned to Phyllis first, and I was glad that I did.
I was in a motor vehicle accident. What was the result of that accident was a major neck injury. A lot of car damage, pretty much the entire front end of my car was smashed in. I was dealing with the insurance company and they didn't want to give me a fair enough settlement, so I decided to contact McCune Law Office. What I ended up paying McCune Law Offices was incredibly fair. as opposed to what I was going to get doing it by myself.
Hi, I'm Mindy Jackson. Welcome to our Accident Injury News Telecenter. If you've been in an accident, any kind of accident, car wreck or a slip and fall accident, and you have been injured, call us right now. Put the McCune Law Office on your side. Don't try to handle this situation on your own. By bringing on the McCune Law Office, you'll reach the maximum settlement you deserve. Again, call now and we'll be right back.
An injury from an accident can be a traumatic and stressful place to find yourself. You may think handling this situation on your own is the right decision. It's not. It's important to seek experienced and trusted help.
I was in a vehicle accident in the snow, and I called Phyllis for representation, and she handled my claim quickly and professionally, and it worked out well for me.
The turnaround time was actually very fast. I didn't expect it to be as quick as it was. I believe from the time I called her until the time my case was settled, it was 3 or 4 months.
I definitely wouldn't try to do it on my own. There's a lot of headache involved, and I know people who've tried, and it's just not worth it. It's easier to let a professional handle those kind of problems for you.
I'm Phyllis McCune, and for 20 years I've built my law practice based on honesty, integrity, and reliability. If you've been hurt in an accident, call me for a free consultation. If I accept your case, I will get you the maximum settlement.
Welcome back to Accident Injury News. Lindsay, I'm learning a whole lot about what to do if I'm in an accident.
Me too, Tom. The point I think we need to keep stressing with you at home is getting help. If you are in an accident, get help. Whether that's the police or if it's a car wreck or getting witnesses at the scene of any accident.
Or if you're injured, get medical help as soon as possible, right away. But also get someone on your side immediately, someone who can help take care of this entire situation.
Call the McCune Law Office. Having Phyllis McCune on your side means you have an attorney and advocate with 20 years of experience handling this situation that you now find yourself in. And you know as well as I do, if you've been in an accident, having someone who has been through it with other people just like you is going to be a huge weight of worry off your shoulders. And finding out if your case qualifies isn't going to cost you any money. Best of all, you are going to be talking to someone on the phone who knows just how you're feeling. That's going to be a great comfort to you.
It sure will be a comfort. Think of the worry and the weight of that worry that comes to every person who's been in an accident and suffered an injury. Not only the pain and suffering of the injury, but if that wasn't enough, now you have to deal with all the medical bills, insurance companies. If it was a car accident, now the car that is damaged and you are physically, mentally, and emotionally in pain. If there was ever a time when you needed somebody on your side taking care of everything for you, you can be sure it's right now.
And that brings us again to the accident. If you've been injured in a car accident of some kind, there is probably going to be an insurance company involved in your case. Insurance companies constitute an important part of reaching a settlement. This is where we need to get some answers from an expert, a qualified, experienced attorney. Tom?
Thanks, Lindsay. Phyllis McCune, thanks for joining me again. Let's jump right in. What can a victim expect from the insurance companies at the very beginning?
Well, the first thing they're going to do is try to take your recorded statement, which you should not give it to them without an attorney present. The reason they do that is because a lot of injuries don't manifest themselves until 48 hours later, maybe even a week or two later. So they're going to want to get in there in the first 24 hours, take your recorded statement, get you on tape saying you're not injured. So I don't recommend you doing that without an attorney present. Also, they're going to want to resolve your property damage. Now that's okay if you want to resolve your property damage on your own. They'll look at your car. Right. It's kind of a no-brainer. You get an estimate of your own, they'll get an estimate, and then you all work out what you think is fair.
Phyllis, won't the insurance company be fair with the victim?
Probably not. Fair in whose eye? I'm sure that the insurance company thinks they're fair because they're saving their company a lot of money. But they advocate for their insurance company. They're not necessarily your friend. They're not trying to pay you tons and tons of money. They're in the business of saving money for their company. Some of the adjusters even get paid bonuses the less they pay to victims. So what you need is you need an advocate on your side that will work for you and make sure that what you're settling is a fair amount for you. So call my office. I'll give you a free consultation and maybe I can become your advocate.
Well, why shouldn't a victim deal with the insurance company alone, by themselves?
I don't recommend it simply because most victims don't know the process.
Makes sense.
They don't know the steps that are needed. As an attorney, and I've been doing this for 20 years, I know what the insurance companies need. I know what they want to hear. I know the documents they want to see. I know what to do to present your case to them in the best possible light. So I don't recommend people deal with the insurance companies themselves simply because they might say something that I can't undo later, or they may not give them all the proper documentation, and it ends up hurting the victim in the end.
Well, Phyllis, what other reasons are there that it's a good idea to hire you?
Well, it's a free consultation. You're going to talk directly to me. It's not going to cost you anything, so you're not going to lose anything by calling me. And you stand a lot to gain. It's not like other TV attorneys that are going to pass your case off to some legal assistant that may or may not know what they're doing. I'm personally going to handle your case from start to finish. And, you know, I've got 20 years of experience doing this.
That's great. You know, that is really a confidence building with that kind of experience. You know, McCune Law Office is definitely the choice, you know, if you're in an accident or injury. Thanks, Phyllis. We'll get back to you in a little bit. Lindsay, take it away.
Thanks, Tom. Well, I hope you're writing down some of this information. It sounds like to me that insurance companies and the ability to negotiate with these companies will be very important to you getting a maximum settlement if you've been injured in an accident. The question you really need to be asking yourself is just how experienced are you in that field? If you're like me, you probably have no experience negotiating with insurance companies. And if you're faced with medical bills as a result of your injuries from an accident, well, we all know just how costly medical treatment can be. What about the loss of your income because you lost time on your job? Or what about the damage to your vehicle if it was in an auto accident? An injury as the result of any accident can be very costly. And we just heard that insurance companies get paid bonuses for paying you less. Do you want to take this process on by yourself? Do you have the experience to do the negotiating for what you really need, the maximum settlement? It makes perfect sense to have someone who does this every day do it for you. Call Phyllis McCune, an attorney with 20 years of helping people just like you get the maximum settlement. You will be glad you made the call, I promise.
Let's hear from some people again who were injured in accidents and they called the McCune Law Office for a free consultation.
Each of their cases also qualified and each received the maximum settlement.
Check this out.
The first mistake I made was I didn't get a professional to handle my case, and that made the whole experience hard. Phyllis was actually very cooperative and gave me the kind of assurance I needed in the position I was at.
Anytime I called, she was accessible to me. She either called me right back or I got right through to her. Anytime my insurance company called me, I could turn right around and call her and not feel left out, you know, to do what I needed to on my own. She took care of everything for me.
I'm glad I didn't try to go alone at this. I was glad to have McCune Law Office on my side.
Oh, she handled it to the very end, and I have my utmost full confidence in her and in her law office, that's for sure.
Hi everyone, it's Mindy Jackson again. Listen to those calls. Remember what Lindsay reported. Over 7,600 people each year are injured in Tulsa from accidents involving a car wreck. If you are one of those people, call now. The McCune Law Office will help you through this stressful situation. Don't try to handle it on your own. Putting experience on your side means getting the maximum settlement. So call now. We'll be right back.
An injury from an accident can be a traumatic and stressful place to find yourself. You may think handling this situation on your own is the right decision. It's not. It's important to seek experienced and trusted help.
I was in a vehicle accident in the snow, and I called Phyllis for representation, and she handled my claim quickly and professionally, and it worked out well for me.
The turnaround time was actually very fast. I didn't expect it to be as quick as it was. I believe from the time I called her until the time my case was settled, it was 3 or 4 months.
I definitely wouldn't try to do it on my own. There's a lot of headache involved, and I know people who've tried, and it's just not worth it. It's easier to let a professional handle those kind of problems for you.
I'm Phyllis McCune, and for 20 years I've built my law practice based on honesty, integrity, and reliability. If you've been hurt in an accident, call me for a free consultation. If I accept your case, I will get you the maximum settlement.
Welcome back to Accident Injury News. If you are just joining us, I'm Lindsay Hansen.
And I'm Tom Lociato. We have been talking with Phyllis McCune of the McCune Law Office about accidents and injuries. Phyllis will join us one more time in just a minute, but Lindsay, I think at this point we should recap a little right now about what we've learned so far.
First of all, and most important, if you have been in an accident, especially if it's a car wreck, call the police. Even if it's a slip or a fall incident at a business establishment, you need to file a report as soon as possible. The police can do it officially. Exchange insurance information. This information will be very useful later on. Take pictures. If you are able, use your camera on your cell phone if you have to. Now look for and get the names and phone numbers of witnesses. And depending upon your injuries, this could be the first thing you do. Get medical help right away. Finally, and this is very important, call the McCune Law Office. In a situation like this, you need to put someone on your side who has 20 years of experience handling accidents and injuries. The experience brought to your situation by Phyllis McCune, especially dealing with insurance companies, will result in you reaching a maximum settlement. And that's exactly the outcome you want. Tom?
Well, thanks, Lindsay. Well, Phyllis, let's get back to it. You know, at the end of the day, it's all about the money. How do you maximize that settlement for the client?
Negotiate, negotiate, negotiate. I'm going to negotiate with the insurance company to get the most money out of their pocket that I can. I'm going to negotiate your medical bills. I'm going to negotiate with your health insurance company. I'm going to negotiate with everybody so that the most money possible going in your pocket is what's going to happen.
Do you settle the case yourself, Phyllis?
I get the maximum settlement offer from the insurance company that I can. The client is the one that makes the decision about whether or not to settle. It's totally in the client's hands. I give them all the information that they need to make an informed decision about whether or not to settle the case.
Now, Phyllis, let me ask you this. Does the client have any bills to pay after the settlement?
No. At the time of settlement, all clients' medical bill account balances are verified through my office and paid through my trust account. I get all the releases and documentation. All the client has to do is come in, sign papers, and walk out with their check.
That's great.
It's also helpful for the client because later on in the future, if doctors, hospitals, collectors, creditors call the client and say we weren't paid, then all the client has to do is call my office and I've got a canceled check there and I can give them proof so they can take it back to the creditor.
What other reasons are there, Phyllis, to hire a McCune Law Office?
It's a free consultation. Give me a call. You'll talk to me personally. I can evaluate your case. I've built my firm for 20 years based on honesty, reliability, trustworthiness. And I have a fast turnaround time on settling cases. So if you're not sure, you think you might have a case, you might not have a case, give me a call. I can evaluate your case and let you know. And I'd like to talk to you. And I'd like the opportunity to represent you.
Thank you so much, Phyllis McCune from McCune Law Office, for joining us. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Well, let's go back to Lindsay right now. Lindsay, a lot of great information. Back to you.
Thanks, Tom. I think you will agree with me. If any of us have been in an accident and we've been injured, one of the first thoughts we need to remember is to reach out and get help. In an injury situation, none of us will be prepared to react immediately as to what to do or what the correct steps are that you should follow. An injury is an emotional impact that will normally cause a level of confusion, which takes time for any person to recover from. But as soon as you are thinking clearly, you need to get busy. And above all, remember to reach for your phone. The sooner you contact the McCune Law Office and Phyllis McCune, the sooner you can relax, because you have an expert taking care of everything for you. That will be a tremendous relief in a very stressful and traumatic situation.
Also, don't forget, no injury or accident is too small or too large. No one should have to suffer physically, emotionally, or financially when injured in an accident, no matter what the injury is. There is help, and it's just a phone call away.
Well, that's it for us. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Accident Injury News. I'm Lindsay Hansen.
And I'm Tom Lociato. One last time, listen to what some of our actual clients of McCune Law Office have to say about how their cases were handled.
If you're going to try to take on an insurance company, you need Phyllis McCune.
The personal attention I got was worth everything. I would never recommend that anyone try to go through this by themselves. I felt very comfortable with her integrity and her honesty and her competency to handle my claim.
I shouldn't be penalized for somebody running into me and having, a loss of wages, having to deal with a horrible aching neck. And so that's when I decided to contact Phyllis. And she seemed very, very nice. One thing that, I've never had to deal with a lawyer type of situation before. So I was very, very nervous. And so I went in and sat down with her, and she just made me feel very, very much at ease, very comfortable. She's easy to talk to. And that really made me feel like this is the right person that should be handling my case.
McCune Law Office got me the maximum settlement, and that's exactly what I needed.
An injury from an accident can be a traumatic and stressful place to find yourself. You may think handling this situation on your own is the right decision. It's not. It's important to seek experienced and trusted help.
I was in a vehicle accident in the snow, and I called Phyllis for representation, and she handled my claim quickly and professionally, and it worked out well for me.
The turnaround time was actually very fast. I didn't expect it to be as quick as it was. I believe from the time I called her until the time my case was settled, it was 3 or 4 months.
I definitely wouldn't try to do it on my own. There's a lot of headache involved, and I know people who've tried, and it's just not worth it. It's easier to let a professional handle those kind of problems for you.
I'm Phyllis McCune, and for 20 years I've built my law practice based on honesty, integrity, and reliability. If you've been hurt in an accident, call me for a free consultation. If I accept your case, I will get you the maximum settlement.
Welcome back to the Telecenter. Remember everything attorney Phyllis McCune has taught us during this episode of Accident Injury News. If you get in an accident, you need to call the McCune Law Office as soon as possible. Don't try to handle this traumatic, stressful situation by yourself. Call and put 20 years of experience on your side. You'll be glad you did. Now we will keep the phone lines open for another 10 minutes, so if you need help, call us now. We're ready to go to work for you and get the settlement you deserve. For Tom, Lindsay, and everyone here, I'm Mindy Jackson. Thanks for watching Accident Injury News.